Hey y'all, I'm Slaya, and this is Introduction to Tabletops, the dice. So for most of you, you're probably familiar with the six-sided die. That's common to most board games such as Clue, Monopoly, and Yahtzee. That's the big one, full of dice. But for tabletops, there are 7 dice that are often used in-game. But before I explain that to you and show you what those are, there's a term I need to tell you. Often when you are playing tabletops, you'll hear someone say, roll a d6. What does the D stand for? Simply, the die type. So if someone says, roll a d6, what they mean is roll a 6-sided die. You also hear maybe roll 2d6 or 3d6, etc., and that's just roll 2 6-sided die. Reason I'm explaining it is the first time I ever played tabletops, someone said, roll 2d10, and I just went, what? It's not something people really explain. They just kind of take it for granted that everyone knows what these are. And that's why I'm actually going to show you what the dice are, because when someone says roll 2d10, I don't think you know what a d10 is. So the first die I'll show you is the d20. Now, the d20 is the one that's most common to tabletopping and the most associated with tabletopping. It's something that's used a lot in D&D, so when people show the tabletop dice, it's always prominent front and center. It looks like this. It's basically a 20-sided die. Simple. Next one down is the d12, which is a 12-sided die. And it goes to the 8-sided die, which is a little bit weirder in shape, but rolls just as well. And then you'll have the 6-sided die, the one everyone's familiar with. And the 4-sided die, which is a pyramid-shaped die and the most awkward to roll. I don't really use it all that much because of that. I don't think a lot of games really use it. Of course there are games, like, don't stone me. I know all of you probably have a system out there where you're like, no, it's so important, but honestly, I don't really see it coming up all that much. So just a warning, it's a die. But then you also have 2 very interesting dies, and those are the 10-sided die. So you have the d10, which is 10 sides. Instead of the number 10 on the die, you'll see the number 0, and that represents the number 10. But you also have the d100. So this you have to roll with the d10 dice. It's essentially just trying to create a 100-sided die without being this bulky, huge thing that I know exists and I'll show you a picture of, but really, really, really awkward. So this d100, the way you roll it is you'll roll a d10 and a d100. And on the d100 you'll see numbers 10, 20, 30, 40, etc. You also see 0, 0. That doesn't represent 100, that represents 0. When you're rolling the dice and you get a 0, 0 on the d100 and a 0 on the d10, some people say that equals 100, some people say that equals 0. But for the most part, you'll roll and you'll get something like 60 on the d100 and 7 on the d10, and that's just simply 67. Now, why do we roll these dice? Because this is a game. Like, you'll have a character, and your character will say, I can do this, or I can do that, and maybe not the other thing. But since it's a game and not just like improv acting or storytelling, you have to have this sense of chance. So we roll the dice because you may fail or you may succeed. Just because your character knows how to do this thing doesn't mean they'll always be able to do this thing. So often you'll see something like you'll roll a d20 and you'll get a 17 on it, which means you're able to do whatever task you were set out to do. So let's say you're trying to climb a wall, you're able to climb that wall. But if you roll something like maybe a 4 or a 3, some games will say you can't do that. Like, it's impossible for you to get up that wall, no matter even if your character knows how to get up that wall, like has all the grappling hooks and everything. So it's just that random chance in things, kind of like the random chances in life. Like, even if you know how to do something, sometimes you're gonna fail. And it just makes it fun because it would be boring if we could always climb that wall in game. Like, it's just not exciting anymore, and it really comes up when you're fighting in game. So let's say you have a bunch of enemies, and yeah, it'd be cool if we could always shoot the gun and kill the enemies, but there's a lot of like excitement and danger with the fact that your dice may betray you. And this is the fun part, because you often see memes online, which is the shaming the dice when you're in the battle, it's the boss fight, and oh gosh, you rolled a 1 on a d20. And you fail. And you kill yourself. Or you do something horrible. So this is another fun thing about rolling dice, is you'll hear something like the nat 20 or the nat 1, just the natural 20, the natural 1. It's statistically rare to roll a perfect number, so you'll often roll something that's equivalent to failing or passing, but to roll a perfect 20, it doesn't happen all that often. So when it does, in-game, it becomes this huge success, and your game master may be like, oh my gosh, you can do whatever right now, you know? But if you roll the 1, you just got incinerated by the boss. So this is just the basics about dice rolling. I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. If there's anything that's still confusing, just comment below and tell us what you need to know, and we'll hopefully be able to explain it to you.